Stand by.
How about that?
Oh, if there was ever a how about that, thank you, Rick Regan. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We're on the air. It's the RP show. It's the Football Friday. Everybody's been so excited, I can tell, because they've been writing in and telling us that. It's the RP show on Game Plus TV. Kevin the Medium's going to be with us in seconds from the Hughes Sports Podcast. He is a medium. He's a psychic. Oh, a lot of questions for him. And loaded guests today. NFL, CFL alum Arland Bruce coming up. And one of the top-ranked D linemen for the CFL draft, Charlie Parks, is going to be joining us later on in hour two. But Kevin the Medium is here. Thank you for the patience, Kev. Listen, I don't want to sit and belabor anything. They're all here to talk football. But we have breaking news. We have some hockey stuff to open the program with because it is Canada after all. It's the Canadian Hour. You are a Vancouver Canucks fan. Well, at least last I checked, you were. And you're looking for a general manager now. That's the breaking news on this Friday.
Yeah, I woke up to that this morning. I was like, I mean, is anybody really surprised? This team was just an utter disaster and has been for a few years under his GMing. So is that a word, GMing? I'm not surprised that he was let go. My biggest surprise is the president of hockey operations, Jim Rutherford, hasn't followed him. I think there's going to be more shoes falling. I think Rutherford, Adam Foote are close behind. I have a feeling we're going to see one Manny Malhotra as our new coach come next season.
Well, I know that he was in the hiring cycle last time, so that's the breaking news, everybody, on this Friday. The Vancouver Canucks firing general manager Patrick Allvin. Again, as Kev said, not a surprise, the dead last team in the National Hockey League this year. So that's breaking news on this Friday. Trust me, I know that we're just welcoming the viewers in. I don't even know if we're on TV right now or where we are, but everybody get in, get comfortable, fill up your coffee. By the time they all get here, that's when we'll switch over to the football talk, Kev. There's a fun story as we are on the eve of the Stanley Cup playoffs because it is still April. You've got snow on the ground everywhere you are. So many people are still thinking hockey. This showed up in my inbox today. The puck drops on Saturday for the Stanley Cup playoffs, and Canadians will have less representation this year than they've had since 2021. Only 3 teams from Canada will be in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And new data from the nonprofit Angus Reid Institute finds Canadians divided in their allegiances, asked which team they would prefer to win the cup, which we asked people days ago. Nearly a half, 46% said Montreal, 34% said the Edmonton Oilers, and only 15% said the Ottawa Senators. So breaking news from the Angus Reid Institute, the Montreal Canadiens are Canada's team going into the playoffs beginning tomorrow. Does that surprise you or not?
Not really, to be honest. Oilers have had how many shots at it now? This is their 3rd time. They're in the playoffs in a row. They got to the final twice. Would I like to see the Oilers do it? Yeah. But am I cheering for Montreal? Definitely. I kind of want Montreal. But Oilers as a backup. I just want a Canadian team, Rod. You know me. I bleed that Maple Leaf. So I just want a Canadian team to win. If that's Ottawa, if Ottawa pulls off a miracle, who knows?
Well, it's kind of interesting because 71% of those responded are like you. They said they just want a Canadian team to win. That's of Canadians. Now, a lot of our viewers are American. We've understood that, so our numbers are a little different than the Angus Reid poll. But 71% of the Angus Reid Canadians polled say they want a Canadian team to win. But here, that's our poll question today. That's why I'm jumping out with it for Country Thunder is, do you want a Canadian team to win? Because I'm saying no. Don't hang me from the tallest tree. But I want the Tampa Bay Lightning to win. There's this movement here that let's keep the cup in Florida, and I plan to be going over to Tampa Bay for some games. So, again, it's just kind of a whole thing. I wanted to open with that. And, by the way, the warm-up is brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel, Neil Chark and Company, the preferred travel partner of the RP show and the BC Lions. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. So that's a little sports hockey topic off the top. Obviously, our timing's completely kablooey here with the issues that we've had today. So I'm kind of going on the fly here. But I guess because it is the Canadian Hour, point 2 of the Quick Six show topics is CFL news. There's good news and there's bad news. What do you want first, Kev?
Let's deal with the bad news just because I'm living here in Saskatchewan and it's been the talk of every town. Doesn't matter if it's 5 people or a million people or 500,000. There's not a million person town in Saskatchewan, but it's the talk of the town.
Okay. You went there. I mean, it dropped during the show yesterday, but we were in the middle of the show. I was not prepared to deal with it yesterday. I don't even know whether you call him a star. Canadian receiver Ajo of the Saskatchewan Roughriders has been cut by the team, suspended by the CFL for 6 games because of an off-field incident, which, I mean, you could go to rodpedersen.com, any, I guess, Canadian news outlet, and read there was an off-field incident the day of the Grey Cup parade. What he's been accused of violates the CFL's gender-based policies, and he's gone. And so, yeah, I guess, okay, 2 minutes. Thank you, Corey tells us that we have in this spot. Like, I don't think he's that, maybe it's my age. We've been through this before as a team, as a society. Bye-bye. You broke the rules. Goodbye. But what I should hand it over to you. You said you're sitting there in Saskatchewan. They're all debating whether he should still be on the team or not.
Well, and we got to remember, he was suspended 6 games by the CFL, and he has to do 15 sessions with a professional counselor. So he hasn't been kicked out of the league. He hasn't been barred from the league like other players that we know have been for way less. My question is, Riders, in my opinion, Riders did the right thing. There's no room for what he's accused of, and we have to make sure we're saying that allegedly. There's no criminal charges as of yet. So will another team pick him up? All we need to do is go out to Toronto, and their quarterback was literally fined and disciplined almost the exact same way. I think the suspension might have been longer, and he's still playing.
9 games. Yeah.
So yeah. So does a Joe get to have that same courtesy, I'll call it, the same treatment? Or is it because the name's Kelly and he's the big star or bigger star? It's different.
Okay, well, we're just scratching the surface on this. We're not leaving this topic. The good news is Taylor L. Gersba has signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and for the Bomber fans, we'll be talking about that. So we've got a lot to get to when we come back after this brief pause here on the warm-up on the RP Show.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Football Friday continues as back to normal as can be. Again, I don't know if we're on television here or not. Doesn't really change the job I got to do. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Western Dodge. Kevin the Medium, does anybody know him? He writes in and says, I love Football Friday. Okay, Kev, that's you, right? That's Kev. He loves Football Friday. Yeah. Utah Darren writes in. He says, hi, happy Football Friday. Stoked for the Interstate 15 series between the Mammoth and Vegas. And he's talking about Stanley Cup playoffs. We talked about that off the top. We're on football now. So let me just go back to this. Vancouver Eric writes in and says a couple of things. He says the Joe news, not the news the CFL needs. And he also says 2 Rourkes and Taylor Elgersma, 3 Canadian quarterbacks in the West eventually. What a time to be a CFL fan. So before we get to the Elgersma thing, I'm not done yet with the Joe story. I would like to be done with it. But I had a football guy just text me now and say that the Riders are acting holier than thou while releasing a Joe. And that's just somebody trying to kick the Riders, which they're not kicking the Riders while they're down. The Riders aren't down. They're the defending Grey Cup champions. But it's, I guess, what the hell? It's Football Friday, Kev. And I don't know if you've talked to your beautiful better half, Angela, about the Rider days. Like 20 years ago, I kind of chuckled about this because with Joe, our business manager this morning, he's a longtime Rider fan. I said, it's kind of ironic that Jeremy O'Day, not ironic, but appropriate maybe in a way, that Jeremy O'Day is the guy standing up and making a statement on them releasing a Joe, because he was the guy 20 years ago as the captain of the team, the starting center that had to stand. I was there, stand in front of the media and explain all the crap that the team was going through. That back then, a Joe, that's Monday. That stuff was happening all the time. Shivers and Barrett didn't care. This guy would fit in perfectly in that era. But as I said to Joe this morning, this is a different time. So if somebody says the Riders are playing holier than thou or whatever, no, they were the only team in the CFL that were willing to give this guy a chance coming out of college. No other team would touch him, and he blew it. I guess, I mean, for me, I'm again, this is something that has an axe to grind with the Riders, so I shouldn't have probably even read it on the air, because I agree with what they've done here in letting him go, is my point. Where are you on it?
I totally agree with what they've done. Obviously, there was an investigation and there was evidence that what was alleged actually happened. And if that's the case, there's no room for someone to be in professional sports under a microscope, and you are under a microscope when you're in professional sports, and you are held to a higher standard. So be it. You chose to be in that spotlight. So you are forced to live by a higher standard. And you know what? As you said, oops, you messed up. And for every action, there's a consequence. And now he's facing that consequence.
Well, we've got plenty of time in this segment. I mean, I love the Football Fridays just as much as you and all of the viewers, too. Everybody else is going goo goo gaga about the Stanley Cup playoffs, at least in Canada anyways. And nobody's talking about the CFL right now, and that's what we do here on Fridays, especially in this Canadian hour right now. So you and I talked about this on the phone. It's not just about getting in trouble. I talked to you about the discussions I had with the Florida Panthers this week about a scoop that I had. And I said, do you guys mind if I drop this? They're like, well, we'd kind of rather you didn't because we're going to announce it tomorrow. So I didn't. It goes – so that it's just things have changed, you know, and I don't like it. As a guy that had 2, 3, 4, 5 chances in my life, I was the benefactor of that. I couldn't survive. I'd be canceled in 5 minutes now the way that I was. You know, back in the day, it's just a different time. I don't like it, and I don't necessarily blame the teams. Go ahead.
Angela and I were talking about this morning, and she brought up Archie Bunker. And anybody over 30 should know who Archie Bunker is. If you don't, YouTube him. That isn't acceptable on TV anymore. That just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't even get past the producers, the executives. But back in the day, that was hilarious content. Absolutely hilarious. It's not funny anymore. We know better now. So we need to, as we grow, as we evolve as a species, we need to change as a species. Wow, I'm going to get really into my woo-woo now.
No, it's fine. It's good. I mean, everybody should listen to us. That's what I say. You know, and it's funny, by the way, because you and Joe were talking about all the comments that came into our Facebook page about the Joe with Joe thing. I didn't even read them. I've stayed off Twitter all week. I mean, that particular app has turned into such a toilet with what's going on. I've had like my own mini social media cleanse this week, so I don't really know what people are saying about the Joe with Joe. I'm a 53-year-old man who's walked through the fire many times. I don't need to read what everybody's saying. I know what I think. And you're not the only guy that's brought up the Chad Kelly thing. I mean, because I've had a lot of people with the Argos now and people that were with the Argos who are my good friends. I'm just going to say it right now the way it is. That they all blew up my phone when this Chad Kelly stuff went down, and they said, this guy's being unfairly maligned. This is a witch hunt. This isn't fair. And you know what I said, Kev? I said, I don't know the kid. So I would love to pick up the flag and defend him or the Argos or whatever, but I don't know him, and I'm not sticking my neck out for him. Sorry. I don't know. You might be right. You guys might be right. I don't know. What I know is he's still playing for the Argos, so that's how they feel. Okay, and it was a past commissioner, past regime. That's kind of why I'm confident in saying it here. And the thing with the Joe, he's been on this show, but he was cocky on this show. The kid's got a cocky, shitty attitude. So,
yeah,
right? Like he's at some point you need to learn. And that's kind of what I feel is happening. Does he ever play in the CFL again? Over to you, because I don't know the answer to that.
You know what? I don't either. And hopefully someone sits this guy down. I'm not going to call him a kid because he's an adult, and sits him down and has a serious conversation with him and lets him know that this career of his is very short. He's only got X amount of years and he's blowing it big time. And he needs to turn it around, not tomorrow, but right now, like as in April 17th. That needs to stop and it needs to change. Hopefully someone does that, and hopefully this guy listens. I don't think he will. I saw him at the Grey Cup. I saw his swagger, the way he carried himself, and I was just like, okay, you're special. You're that special breed that's coming up of that new athlete, I guess we can say, who, I want to use the word entitled, but I don't want to get myself canceled, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. Well, it's Carlos in Indiana writes in. He says he'll probably have to rebuild his reputation in a smaller football league. He's talking about maybe go to the UFL, go to the Arena League. I'm not sure. This guy's had a cup of coffee with the Colts. He's played in big-time colleges. Don't think Dabo Swinney didn't sit him down in Clemson? They don't like to get rid of these players. They don't.
Oh.
Right? Like, he played at Clemson, played at South Florida, played at the JUCO, Garden City. Like, he's been around. And I get what you're saying about him going to a smaller league, but everybody already knows how good he is. So I think the question is, does he play again? That might have been a better poll question than the one we had for Country Thunder, which is, will you be cheering for a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup playoffs? Will Joe play in the CFL again? My God, history does repeat itself, Kev. My vote is yes, he was. It's not the first time this has happened. My God.
It's not. I mean, even the Kelly incident wasn't the first time it happened. I mean, this has been in any sport, it's been around forever. So is it true? Did it happen? I'm not one to judge. I have to go by what the CFL investigation revealed. And if that's the case, serve your 6-game suspension. Biggest thing is take those 15 sessions with a qualified professional that might be able to help you and maybe just turn it around. I don't know if the young man is listening, but damn, dude, you've got a career in front of you. Turn it around and make something of it.
On the Archie Bunker thing, Utah Darren writes in and he says, my dad was Archie Bunker. All our dads were Archie Bunker. And, to be honest with you, I'll just use mine. I don't know about yours in Utah, but in rural Saskatchewan, that does still fly. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Where I was raised in rural Saskatchewan, I was Archie Bunker on the way, Kev. But when I went to Calgary and Mount Royal, I was like, if I talk here like I talk in Milestone, Saskatchewan, I'll have my ass kicked by noon in Calgary. Like, I had to change, right? But when you see 5 people a day and half of them are your family and the rest are your buddies, why would you need to change? Right? Well, I read that real fast.
Even here, just moving from Calgary, downtown Calgary, to Maple Creek, culture and what's acceptable here might not be acceptable in downtown Calgary.
No. Jason in Red Deer says he'll end up in the NFL. They have a softer side for that stuff. Look at Puka Nacua. No way he doesn't play this year. He's not going to the NFL. He's already – listen, this is what you don't understand, Jason. In the NFL – if you're going to pull stuff like this, you'd better be super, super, super elite Terrell Owens elite.
Yeah.
A Joe from an NFL talent level is just another guy. They have a term for guys like that. They call them Jags. Just a guy. He's not going to the NFL. He's probably done. But for the people that have written in and said he'll be playing for Toronto, they're probably right because pinball has a history of signing guys with pasts like this. So, I mean, these are different times, but they're not that different times. Go ahead, yeah.
Maybe it's pinball's love for humanity and the fact that he will always give somebody that second chance. He's been given a second chance. You talked about it. I've talked about it. If I was held accountable for everything I did in the past, holy crap, would we be in trouble? So does he get a second chance? I hope so. He's a great talent. I've watched him play. He's a great, great talent. Everybody has. But he has to change. He can't continue acting the way he does if he expects to have a career.
And who knows? Like, I'm done on the Joe thing, but I understand how important it is to people. But, I mean, Jeff, the Stamps fan, said how key he is to the Rough Riders. I'm like, he had 2 catches in the Grey Cup game. He's not that important. You don't think Jeremy O'Day hasn't weighed that? He's like, this guy is not that important to what we do here. And in the case of pinball wants to win. That's the other thing. Yeah. They always say in Toronto, these types of things happen all the time, but in Regina, when they happen, it's really big news because it's so small, and we all understand why that is.
Yes.
Teddy says hello from the Get the Edge podcast. What's up, Teddy? Friends of mine in South Florida. You caught the Canadian hour of the program, guys, which they really love, by the way. Vancouver Eric writes in. He goes, he's definitely a Jag. You called it, RP. Just a guy. He's just a guy. CFL talent level, Joe is elite. But in the NFL, you can't pull that shit, because I don't think we're on national television here right now, so I can liberally let it out a little more. You just can't pull it. They don't need it.
No.
So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about former Packers quarterback Taylor Elgersma signing with Winnipeg and what it means. Kevin and I still have to get to our first round Stanley Cup Western Conference playoff predictions, because we made our Eastern Conference predictions the other day, and everything is good. So 902-518-3033 is a text line. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. Are you looking to trade up? Western Dodge makes it easy with top dollar trade-ins and unbeatable deals. Get those questions and comments in 902-518-3033. Arland Bruce III coming up in hour 2. Kansas City, San Francisco alum, as well as Bombers, Argos, Ticats, Lions, Alouettes, 5-time All-Star. And Charlie Parks, one of the top defensive linemen ahead of this spring's CFL draft, will be with us in hour 2 as well. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show, everybody. And we'll be right back after this time out.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm fielding a lot of comments from the viewers expecting us on Game Plus. We're not there, but for those that have found us on YouTube, you have found us. So just passing that along. Kevin the Medium is with us here. Arland Bruce coming up in hour 2, and Charlie Parks, one of the top-ranked D linemen for this spring's CFL draft. I'm over the Ajoa story. There's a lot of interesting comments have come in on that. David, number 2 in Winnipeg, writes in. He says, he needs to find help, and I hope he does find the path to redemption. We're all in agreement on that. But the good news is this. I'm ready to move on to the good news. Taylor Ogursma signing with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers yesterday. Kev said that he was going to read up on this. I got it all here. This from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Thank you, Darren Cameron, for sending it to me. He was last season taken in the second round of the 2025 CFL draft. 6'5", 227 pounds, most recently with the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL, but didn't see any action due to work visa issues. Following the CFL draft last year, he was signed by the Green Bay Packers, attended training camp, appeared in 3 NFL preseason games, was released after camp, had NFL looks for the Giants, 49ers, Bears, Dolphins, and Stallions. He won the Heck Crichton Trophy as the top player in Canadian University football coming out of 2024. And I watched him in the Senior Bowl. He was really good. So that's his stats and story. Did you uncover anything other than that, Kev? That's kind of everything we need to know about Taylor Ogursma.
You know what? I went down that rabbit hole before the show, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember the quarterback for Birmingham came out, and he actually reached out to senators trying to get this kid his visa, because it wasn't a case of character or he had a criminal record. It was strictly red tape. The U.S. government screwed up, and they couldn't fix it and get this guy in to play. And so finally his camp said, I'm done. We're going to go to the CFL. But when you look at this kid's tail of the tape, he's built for the CFL. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. He is going to, I think, be the next one. You've got, of course, Caleros in there. He's one hit away from being out. We all know. He's had a few of those hits to the head. A lot of people, when he had his last concussion, said, please, Caleros, don't play again. Go sit down. And that was people in the know, people who have played the game. So this kid is really close to having a start. And if he gets that chance, I'm excited to see what he can do. Even if he is playing for those blue people.
The Blue Mafia, or what do you call it? The Smurf Mafia. Yeah. Well, you call the fans that. Yeah, but that it all works, and there's a lot of Bomber fans show up here every day to watch the program, and I appreciate them for that. I mean, with Vancouver Eric saying the CFL doesn't like the Joe story, of course not. But these things do happen. That's why I don't understand. Like, we're done talking about that, but it's not the end of the world. Everybody just wants to ignore any bad news, and I get that. But this is a really good story. Like, the CFL itself, for as upset as they are about the Joe thing, they should be just as happy, equally, paradoxically happy about this, because 6'5", 227, Canadian kid, and all this has done is make all eyes go on Winnipeg Blue Bomber camp, because you mentioned Zach's concussion history. That was 2019, 2018, frankly, in Saskatchewan, when he couldn't play a playoff game because he wasn't healthy enough head-wise. And it was the last game I ever called. It was a playoff game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Brandon Bridge started, and we didn't have a chance. And then we all thought his career was over. Zach. So when I say 2019, Kev, that was 7 years ago, like 8 seasons ago. That was a long time ago. So you're going into Bomber camp. It'll be a question for future shows in the spring. Who's the starting quarterback in week 1 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Zach Caleros or Taylor Ogursma? Because if you think Zach Caleros has given up his job that easily, he ain't. I would suggest this is all of a sudden become the number 1 training camp story in the CFL.
I wouldn't disagree. And you're looking at it and you're like, wow, he would have to have the training camp of all training camps to unseed Collaros. Let's face it, Collaros has the ball. This young man would need to literally take the ball out of his hands. And there's that saying, out of my dead, cold hands, will you take this away from me? So I can't see it happening. Will he be the backup? I would imagine that's what's going to happen.
Well, and again, that speaks a little bit to the talent disparity between the leagues. Because again, I said Joe is just another guy in the NFL talent-wise. Taylor Elgersma is not even just another guy. Like, he was pretty good in the Reese's Senior Bowl. But I mean, there's a million quarterbacks like Taylor Elgersma. There are. But in the CFL, that's different. That guy is a special talent. So, and the other thing is, that's what training camp's for. That's what the preseason is for. And do we not think Mike O'Shea knows what he's doing as the head coach? The right quarterback will be starting in week 1. David, number 1 in Winnipeg, writes, then he says he's a big kid, so definitely could play the role Streveler played. Fingers crossed he's more accurate in the passing game. Well, that's the one thing about Elgersma. There you don't even compare. Forget about Chris Streveler, who, by the way, has retired, so you can officially forget about Chris Streveler. Taylor Elgersma, Kevin just said, the next one. He has all the earmarks of being the next one. And that's what's fun about quarterbacks. They're not all the same. Nathan Rourke is his own thing. Zach Collaros is his own thing. Taylor Elgersma is his own thing. And the main thing is, can you get first downs and put points on the board? That's all they care about. They don't care how you look or how tall you are or how fast you are or what color you are or what nationality you are, which is, by the way, that is a major thing, Kev, as the longtime CFL fan that you are. It is pretty nice to have these kids with Canadian passports be legit, finally, after 100 years of CFL football.
It's exciting me to no end, because we haven't seen this kind of Canadian QB talent in decades. And I mean decades. Probably have to go back. I don't know how far. My memory is horrible. Yours is way better. When's the last time you've seen this many Canadian quarterbacks with a shot of actually being starters?
Never. It's never happened.
Right?
From Throttle writes that, it says one has to remember that Mike O'Shea is very loyal to his veterans. So how much time will he get in the regular season? Awesome point. And just so you know, every coach is loyal to the veterans, not just Osh, but he's a Bomber fan, so he sees that. Of course, the coaches want to play the vets. They're the proven guys. That's why the vets hang on for so long and always get jobs. You know what I mean? But you make a very good point on that. By the way, I'm not sure how much time we have here in this segment, but I got to talk about the UFL for a second. Somebody wrote in and said, okay, we only got a couple minutes, Kev. So the picks. Are you having fun investigating United Football League games on a week-to-week basis?
I love it. It's actually making me pay attention. I haven't had the opportunity to watch a lot of games, but it's something. I love football. You know how much I love football. So being able to watch the highlights even is just like, ooh, football. Yes. It's different than the NFL. I think it's a closer game to the CFL than the NFL is, just the way they play. But yeah, I'm excited.
Kevin correctly picked Louisville would win last night, and they did over my Houston Roughnecks, 24-22. So Kev's already up 1-0 in the poll this week. We're tied 8-8 through 3 weeks. And the rest of the games, St. Louis at D.C. Kevin has taken D.C. They're 2-1. The Battlehawks, Corey Chamblin's Battlehawks, are also 2-1. So I'm going with James Battlehawks tonight. St. Louis at D.C. Kevin's taken D.C. That's Washington, for those that don't know. Dallas at Columbus. Kevin's taking Dallas. I'm taking Dallas because I always take Dallas. Dallas is my town. Columbus, though, is 0-3, and they're a grease fire. The Columbus Aviators are the UFL's version of the New York Jets. And Orlando's at Birmingham, and you always take the Storm just because you like storms. That's your reasoning behind that, right?
No, it's because my son played for the Airdrie Storm back in the day when he was playing football.
Just,
so I have
just
to.
as good a reason. Yeah, so Kev is taking
Yes.
Orlando to win at Birmingham, so I will take the Stallions. To be honest, it's given me a reason to check the scores every week, and their website is actually pretty darn good. You've obviously found that out, the United Football League. So,
Yes.
Kev, thanks for your patience. Have a great Saskatchewan weekend, and we'll see everybody coming back after this break. Thanks, Kev.
You betcha. I'll text you my NHL picks.
We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's a Football Friday. It is the Canadian hour of the show, and therefore, all of you that have been writing in all week with the CFL topics that I have ignored, because we don't, because there's other. Today's the day. So the good and bad news coming out of the Canadian Football League is the good news. We've been talking about it. Taylor Elgersma signing with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He gave it a good run in the NFL and the UFL, but he's coming to the CFL. The question is, will he start for Winnipeg in week 1? Brian writes in, he's watching in the 204. He says, for Caleros, one hit and he could be done, as he has had concussion issues. So it is good to have a backup who can play in the CFL. Only time will tell. But El Gurzma, if he's good enough to start. Well, again, that's what the training camp is for. David, number 2 in Winnipeg, writes in and says, a Joe is only 24, not a fully mature man as proven by his behavior. Time will only tell if he learns from the error of his ways. This is the Saskatchewan receiver who was released after an off-field incident the night of the team's Grey Cup parade. How much does that suck? And I think, yeah, you just said it. He's 24. I'm guessing he will play again in the Canadian Football League. I mean, again, some teams have different standards, team by team by team. And in Saskatchewan, it's a small town. They don't stand for that, and he's gone. What else do we have? Brent in the Bridge City writes in, he says, Caleros had concussion problems when he was with the Riders. There's a history of that. Yes, we're aware of all of that. Let's do a sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. Mike Trout homered again on Thursday, making him the first visiting player ever to go yard on 4 consecutive days at Yankee Stadium. Aaron Judge also homered again as the 3-time MVPs combined for 9 home runs in their 4-game series in the Bronx. You got to love this. The story doesn't even say who they played. Apparently, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. You understand it? Doesn't matter. Cade Cunningham and Luka Doncic have both been ruled eligible for year-end awards in the NBA, despite falling just shy of the 65-game threshold after the NBA and NBA Players Association ruled in their favor on their extraordinary circumstances challenges. Cunningham missed 12 games for a collapsed lung, and Doncic missed 2 for the birth of his second child. So again, there's a rule in the NBA that if you haven't played a certain amount of games, you're not eligible for the Player of the Year award, but the NBA is like, we'll look the other way. What was I just saying? Different teams have different rules for different people, different leagues clearly have different rules for different players. Why have rules? Cleveland, back to baseball, Cleveland Guardians rookie Parker Messick came 3 outs away from a no-hitter against the Orioles before allowing a pair of singles in the 9th. He still earned the win, improving to 3-0 with a sterling 1.05 ERA. And former NBA player Damon Jones is set to plead guilty to sports gambling charges stemming from last year's FBI case that resulted in more than 30 arrests. He is the first defendant in the case to signal he'll plead guilty. That is the sports update brought to you by our good friends at the Ultimate Fan Zone. Are you looking for the hottest fan gear? I got it all, and I get it at the Ultimate Fan Zone. Swing by their store or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca, where real fans get their gear. Oh, if it was ever a slow day. Because what I'm doing here, just so people that don't understand, is vastly different than my old talk job on radio in Saskatchewan. We had slow days there. So I knew how to drop a bomb there. Here, there's never a slow day. Because quite frankly, we don't sit and beat on the same dead horse every friggin' day like a lot of the talk shows out there. Like, I'll be honest, I'm going to get into this next hour when we go to Silver State Sports across Nevada. But I just... America. God bless it for a lot of things and not for a lot of things. Like the other day, I'm driving to the gym listening to Joe Rose on the radio. You've all heard me talk about Joe Rose. One of the few remaining media guys that I have not met in Miami, but that doesn't really surprise me because he's all football, he's always working, and he doesn't like hockey, or he doesn't care for hockey. So where would we run into each other? But anyways, he's on the air the other day talking about the Dolphins guard center guard combination, and I'm just like, but that's South Florida. It's Miami. They're the number one sports station in town. I get it. I just don't want to hear it. This morning, ESPN. Could the Cowboys trade? Could the Chiefs trade the number 9? We got Stanley Cup playoffs to talk about. I don't care to talk about what could happen in the NFL draft. Like, my God. God bless the people. So many are into it. I'm just not. Which, by the way, Kev texted me his picks because we were going to get into our Stanley Cup playoff picks, but that all got derailed for the Western Conference. So here we go. We did our Eastern Conference picks the other day, Kevin and I. Here's the West, because it was all just decided last night in terms of the matchups. Colorado with the LA Kings. I'm not going to look at Kev's. I'm assuming Colorado. Yes, he's got Colorado. Rod and Kevin both picking Colorado. Minnesota versus Dallas. He's got Minnesota. And by the way, so does Scruffy, because Scruffy's got the Minnesota Wild winning the Stanley Cup. Problem for both of those guys is the Dallas Stars are going to beat them. This is one of the best seasons in Dallas Stars history. But that's what's fun. That's why we do these things. I think it's actually really funny because so many people in this business are afraid to make predictions. But they don't, because they're afraid to be wrong and then have somebody screenshot it and make them look bad. What they don't understand is most people don't even remember by the end of the day. And definitely not by the next day what you predict. They don't care. But whatever. Edmonton at Anaheim, which has really got me thinking. I got the orders to win. Kevin's got the orders to win, and I'll tell you why in a sec. And Vegas versus Utah. I've got Vegas. Kev's got Utah. There is a way, just so you know, and I was thinking I probably will write this article, certainly do the research tonight and tomorrow morning. There is a way, if you're not throwing a dart at the board here with these picks, which is largely what we do. But I'll give you a perfect example. The Tampa Bay-Montreal series, we went deep on it on the Cats and Bolts podcast the other day because we cover the Tampa Bay Lightning. So if you want to break down the categories, I mentioned this yesterday. Goaltending, Tampa wins there. Blue line, Montreal wins there. Forwards, Tampa wins there. Coaching, Tampa wins there. Experience, Tampa wins there. Special teams are a wash. And there is a fun factor that does not show up on the stat sheet. It's the X factor. Intangibles. And Montreal has the intangibles, but I don't think it's enough to beat Tampa Bay in this series. So if you go through check marks with every single one, and every series is different, by the way. That's what's fun about it. In football games, you can break these all down to, it's just one game. It's actually harder to pick football because you understand that. You're not dumb. You're watching this show. And when I say every series is different, look at the Edmonton-Anaheim series. Goaltending, I don't even know who Anaheim's goalie is. So I'll say Edmonton, but if you're going into the playoffs and you don't know who your number one is, that's a bit of a problem. But as far as coaching, it's going to Anaheim. Joe Quenneville, check. Sorry, Chris Knobloch. 3 Stanley Cups, Quenneville, 0 for Knobloch. Then you go over to the Vegas series. As I'm sitting here, even Utah Darren that watches every day, who's the coach of the Mammoth? Tell me. Can anybody tell me the coach of the Mammoth? You're going to give the check mark to Torts. You just are. I'm going to wait to hear from Utah Darren, and you tell me if you had to Google it. And by the way, I do know who it is. It's not like the Anaheim goalie. If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you who Anaheim's goalie is. I know who Utah's coach is because he coached the Ottawa 67s, coached Canada at the World Jays. I know. I want to see how many other people know. And it's, why is this guy not getting any talk for getting the Utah Mammoth into the Stanley Cup playoffs, which they were never able to do in Arizona, or at least not since 2012. Anyways, you're giving Vegas the check marks in just about every one of these categories I just mentioned. It's a Vegas romp. Should probably be an Oilers romp, you know? But anyways, those are Kevin's picks. Colorado, Minnesota, Vegas, and Edmonton. We're all the same except for the Minnesota-Dallas series, which, by the way, is another thing, and we're going to spend more time on this next hour. But was it Matt Duchene of the Minnesota? Who's Duchene play for now? He was complaining about the fact that it's too tough of an opponent, Minnesota versus Dallas in round 1. And it's like, boo-hoo. Especially for those that want the playoff format changed. You've made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. You're going to play a good team. Hello. If you're that good, go beat them. Duchesne's not the only one complaining about it. Everybody's complaining about it. But you know what? Everybody's complaining about everything. And that's why I said earlier today that I've been going on a social media cleanse, and it's been the best thing I ever did. Thank you, Tony from Cochrane. He says, Taylor L. Gersma may be the second coming of Russ Jackson for Canadian quarterbacks. We'll see. Here's the thing. I would suggest it's a little early to be anointing that, but the fun thing is we're all going to be watching. At least we finally have a really great, intriguing story as it comes to the Canadian Football League, good or bad. I'll be honest with you. I'm really starting to think that bad news is better than no news. That's why this a Joe thing with Saskatchewan, everybody wants to shovel it under the carpet. I wouldn't be so fast to do that, but we did talk about it a lot here in hour one, and we'll continue the football talk in hour two. Arland Bruce is going to be with us, and Charlie Parks, two big football names. I'm looking forward to that. We'll be right back here on the RP Show. Any questions or comments, 902-518-3033. Get them in.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Welcome in, everybody. Gather around. It's the RP Show, final day of the week. I hope your week is finishing strong as we work our way towards the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's a little thing here we call Football Friday, and we got two guests for your viewing pleasure coming up. Brought to you today by Prairie Panels, our guest segments. Arland Bruce watches this show every day. I'm thinking, hey, AB, why don't you jump on this side of the camera? And he's going to do that. Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers alum, and a five-time Canadian Football League All-Star and two-time Grey Cup champion. Arland Bruce is going to be with us later. And Charlie Parks, a stud D lineman. I'll just say this. He's coming up a little later on. I'm looking forward to chatting with Charlie Parks, wears number 99 for the U of S Huskies, and he's one of the top-ranked defensive linemen for the Canadian Football League draft this spring. And ChatGPT and AI, there's a reason they call it artificial intelligence. There's no doubt. But it's good for some things like this. I typed in this morning, tell me what I need to know about Charlie Parks, the football player. Spits out this whole profile, and I'm like looking at the numbers going, wow. Eye-popping stats as a senior with the Huskies heading into the CFL draft, Charlie Parks. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. But let's jump into the quick six show topics of this day. It is a Football Friday, but there's breaking news that's come down under the National Hockey League, and that is that Patrik Allvin has been fired as the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks. All the networks across Canada will be talking about it, and as far as what we've done here, we don't need to talk about it any more than that. They're the worst team in the NHL. They fired their GM. It's actually not even, it's breaking news, but it's not surprising news. Here's a fun one, though, for you, like 1B, point 1B. What I've discovered here is the American viewers love the Canadian topics because they don't get this anywhere. So here's a fun one. The puck drops on Saturday for the Stanley Cup playoffs, and Canadians will have less representation this year than they've had since 2021. Only 3 Canadian teams have made the Stanley Cup playoffs. And new data from the nonprofit Angus Reid Institute finds Canadians divided with their allegiance. Asked which team they would prefer to win the cup. You can only pick one. 46% are saying the Montreal Canadiens. Olé, olé, olé. Half of Canada is cheering for the Montreal Canadiens. 34% saying the Edmonton Oilers. And just 15% cheering for the Ottawa Senators. What did I say the other day? They're not even the biggest deal in Ottawa, the Senators. So Montreal is Canada's team going into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And we've made our picks. Well, we did in hour one. I'll bring them up again for the benefit of the Nevada viewers as we watch here in Silver State Sports. The fun thing on all that, we went through the checklist. I mean, there's a lot of series. There's 8 series in round 1 of the Stanley Cup. Viewer C Lightning writes in and says, it's so exciting with all the teams. It's incredibly exciting. And it takes a lot of work. If we were the NHL network, I would be doing the deep dive ahead of the show. I'll probably do it tonight when I write an article. 10 Stanley Cup playoff things and go through every single series. Because if you actually put a little work into it, which some people in this godforsaken trade still do, you could actually, instead of just throwing darts at a board if you're making your bets and so forth, it's actually not that hard to pick. In the case of the Golden Knights, here's my criterion. I've been doing this a long time, and it actually gives you a real leg up in your pools. I've won multiple hockey pools with a format that works from a live hockey. Who's got the best goaltending? I'm going to have to say Vegas. I just am. As they face off against Utah. Karl Vejmelka is the Utah. Another big category in this is coaching. And I said to the viewers, can you please name me Utah's coach? Because I know everybody wants to pop off and act like they know what they're talking about, but prove it. Just tell me who Utah's coach is. Nobody could. His name's Andre Tourigny. Coached the Ottawa 67s for years. Canada's World Junior team. I couldn't even say his name properly forever. This guy should be getting consideration for Coach of the Year, getting Utah into the playoffs, but nobody even knows who he is. Maybe that'll change after these Stanley Cup playoffs. I don't know. But Vegas has the check in coaching. John Tortorella versus a guy that nobody even knows who he is. I mean, upsets happen, but I don't think it's happening in the Vegas-Utah series. Who's got the best blue line? Listen, Utah's no joke, just so you know. Utah's no joke. But if you want to talk about experience, Utah is a franchise, which I still put Arizona in their franchise history, even though they don't want to. I don't understand how they were allowed to do that. We're going to move from Arizona to Salt Lake City and just forget about where we were. Who does that? Who's allowed to do? They were allowed to do that. None of them have any playoff experience. Vegas has it all. So it's like check. It's all on the Vegas side of things. That, for our Vegas viewers, should make you very, very happy. I'm just checking in on the YouTube stream here. And by the way, our text line to reach us is 902-518-3033. Eric in Vancouver writes in and he says, thanks, RP. Not here for the Canucks talk. That's the thing. We're not going to talk about everybody else talk about. We don't need to talk about it. If you live in Vancouver, you've heard enough of how bad the Canucks are. By the way, speaking of Vancouver, the Quick Six is brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. When it comes to sports, trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. And speaking of all of that, the poll question today is brought to you by Country Thunder, and it is, will you be cheering for a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup playoffs? 68% of respondents saying yes. For me, it's a no, dog. For me, it's going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning, which I said even going into these playoffs, I said, I hope Tampa Bay doesn't play Montreal because the press box will be full. And that's exactly what happened. I got an email from the Lightning this morning saying, Rod, we apologize, but you cover the Panthers more so. We're not playing the Panthers. Montreal's here, and the press box is full. I'm like, guys, I get it. Thanks for the response. Good luck in the series. See you in round 2. Which, by the way, Tampa Bay checks almost all of the boxes against Montreal in that series too. But it's just, when you play a Canadian team, especially Montreal, Toronto, it is a traveling 3-ring circus of media, and that's exactly what's happened with the Montreal Canadiens. The poll question is for Country Thunder. The biggest party of the summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson and Creed. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.sk. Just $20 down secures your weekend pass. By the way, because it is a football Friday, I'll throw this in there. Because, let's not forget, Vegas was a CFL town, don't you know? Back in the day, there's two big news items coming out of the Canadian Football League. Point 2 of the Quick Six show topics is simply football. Good news, bad news. I'll give you the bad news first. Receiver Ajo has been suspended by the Canadian Football League. Yeah, that's his name, Ajo. He had a cup of coffee with the Indianapolis Colts. He's a stud player. Nobody's going to say he's not. Played for 3 college teams back before that was normal. Do you know what I'm saying? Garden City, JUCO, Clemson, South Florida, and they all got tired of his act. Ajo slipped in the Canadian Football League draft. Saskatchewan was the only team that was willing to give him a chance. They won a Grey Cup with him just last year, but he got in trouble in an off-field incident, violated the CFL's gender-based violation policy. I'm going off the top of my head here. Anyways, they cut him. So there's that, and every furor in the wheat province, of course. The good news comes out of Winnipeg, where the Blue Bombers have signed Canadian receiver Taylor Elgersma, 6'5", 227, drafted 2nd overall by the Bombers back in 2025, but he went to the NFL, signed by the Green Bay Packers, went through training camp, didn't stick, had looks with the Giants, 49ers, Bears, and Dolphins. Like, he is the next one. I watched him in the Reese's Senior Bowl. I think we all did. He got the whole 4th quarter, and he looked really good. Taylor Elgersma, that's what I say, 6'5", 227. He won the Heck Crichton Award as the top Canadian player in Canadian University football. Will he be the next one? Winnipeg Blue Bomber training camp has become a lot more interesting. Actually, it might be the number 1 story going into training camp, which is in what, like 3 weeks? I got to defer to Jeff, the Stamps fan, because like every day he writes it and tells us how many days it is until training camp. I'm 1 day at a time, bro, as you know. So that's, thank God he's keeping track of it. Now, on the football topic, when it comes to producing players for the NFL, it's not surprising that the top-performing colleges are the most prolific. Where it gets more interesting is looking and how different schools excel at producing players at different positions. Oklahoma has thrived with quarterbacks over the past decade thanks to Lincoln Riley's tenure as an offensive coordinator and head coach there. Stanford and Iowa have had fierce debates about which school should get the moniker Tight End U. Notre Dame punches above its weight at offensive line, while schools like Ohio State and LSU vie for top billing at receiver. Why am I reading this? Because we're working our way towards the NFL draft, and I just find it fascinating. Again, we're not going to sit here and talk about that because all the other networks and shows are. But it's like most hosts and pundits can't name you any players after the fifth pick this year. And can I ask you, am I right in this? The drama ends with the first overall pick, which there isn't even drama. Fernando Mendoza is going to go number 1 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders, and after that, who knows? And he's not even going to be there. So all the talk of will they trade up the 9th pick, trade down, trade up. Raiders aren't trading it. Nope. It's just, hey, everybody else is talking about it. We don't need to. How about this? It's point 3, but week 4 in the United Football League is at hand. And frankly, I got to give our viewers a lot of credit because they're so into this thing, so into it that we're making picks every day. Every week for the Pump Jacks Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jacks Cathedral, and Pump Jacks Weyburn. Come early and stay late at the place where friends meet. Week 4 actually kicked off Thursday night. Louisville beating Houston 24-22. I know this is like speaking Mandarin to a lot of you, but I just wonder where this is going because this morning I'm on the cardio machine in the gym, and at Fox News, they're like, week 4 in the UFL is here. Well, why are they promoting that? Well, because the games were on Fox. I still can't name you one player in the league, yet our viewers are very much into this. So we made our picks last hour. Again, Louisville already beating Houston 24-22 to open week 4, but the other games this week, St. Louis at D.C., Dallas at Colorado, and Orlando at Birmingham. I'm just passing it along. I'll be watching a little bit of it, but the other thing is I'm not going to Tampa Bay. I just said that. The press box is full thanks to the Montreal media. Ole, ole, ole. Come on, Tampa, win this thing. But I'm doing football this weekend on Sunday, too. Actually announcing here in South Florida where they go year-round. Point 4. Let me squeeze this in. MLB and NBA, the struggling Toronto Blue Jays kick off a 3-game road series with the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. Toronto hasn't won a series since starting the season with a 3-game sweep of the Athletics. Matt Lauer starts on the mound for the Blue Jays, while Arizona starts Canadian Mike Soroka out of Calgary. And the final NBA playoff spots will be decided tonight. The Charlotte Hornets face the Orlando Magic in a play-in game, with the winner getting the 8th seed in the East. The Phoenix Suns host the Golden State Warriors for the 8th spot in the West. So I split points 4 with NBA and MLB. Again, Arland Bruce coming up in the next segment. NFL, CFL alum, 5-time CFL All-Star. From the audience, at point 5 is Stanley Cup playoffs, by the way. So I can flesh out this segment talking about that. Utah Darren writes in and says, as a Mammoth fan, I know the coach, but I'm not thinking the series goes much past 5 games. I do think the Bear should be considered for Coach of the Year. Oh, my God. Don't even get me started on the voting. Don't get me started on the voting for the Coach of the Year. And the reason I ask that or say that is because a young reporter wrote me. Just close your eyes if your video's stuttering because I think the sound's coming through fine. A young reporter wrote me and asked how I thought about this. He goes, how do you feel about my vote if I vote for this guy? And what'll it look like if our votes are made public? How's that going to reflect on me? And I'm like, is this just like a younger person coming to the older guy for advice, or is this cheating off my looking at my test? I'm like, I don't have a vote and I don't want to vote. But the whole basis of that, you're asking, what should Andre Tournier get some consideration for Coach of the Year? Of course, he's going to get consideration. The question is, will he even be a finalist? Probably not. But I said to the kid, vote based on that it will be made public. Do everything in your life assuming that you're being watched. It's a pretty good place to start. I just thought it was odd that he would ask that question. How would this look if it's found out who I voted for? I'm getting a headache just thinking about that. Vote for who you think should win. How about that? Is that hard to figure out? Arland Bruce will be joining us next for a football talk at all levels. It's just going to be fantastic. If you have questions for him, fire them our way. 902-518-3033 is a text line. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. 902-518-3033 or the YouTube chat. We'll be right back on Silver State Sports.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody, on the RP Show on a Football Friday. And I got to be honest, I'm very much looking forward to this interview. Arland Bruce and I spent a long time in the CFL, but not together. What the hell is he doing? The Grey Cup kid, he and Tad Gornegay can share that name. 5-time CFL All-Star, 2-time champion, 49ers and Chiefs alum, Kansas product. Arland Bruce finally makes his long-awaited RP Show debut. Have you been on this show before, AB?
I have. Thank you again.
I thought you had. It's been a while. I know that, man. How's your Football Friday going, my man?
Man, my football Fridays are always great. Watching you every weekend. Rod, where should I be at? Let me get situated. Excuse me.
There you go.
Watching you every week I love it, man. I talk about it. My sister just came here from America, and I talked about this show. So she's spreading the word back in Kansas to everybody in Dallas that we're on today. So thank you for having me.
I love it. Well, the pleasure is obviously mine, AB. And the beautiful thing about you is you can talk about ball at all levels. I'm just going to ask you this because you're an American. We got the NFL draft coming up very quickly. What's your interest level scale of 1 to 10 on the NFL draft this year?
Every year it's of 10 because
I
remember, being a kid dreaming to be in the NFL. And when you see those kids light up and you see their parents and you see their friends and you see their dreams come true, it's awesome every year to see somebody's dream come true, whether it's a top player or somebody who's just going to be a free agent and gets the opportunity to play professional football, because it's hard to do to get into the league.
Well, and you're from Kansas, and you write in here a lot. You're still a Chiefs fan, right? Is that because you can identify as alum, or you're from there, or because they're good now? Why is that the team out of the 32 that you follow the most?
Oh, growing up in Olathe, Kansas, my uncle had season tickets. He had like 10 tickets right in the end zone. So we would take us to the games. We'd have the best tailgate parties you could think of back then. I went through the times when we weren't that good. Even though we had like a roster that full of champions, we didn't have the roster to finish, the playoffs back in the 90s and the 80s and things like that. So I always been a fan. There's so many players that I could think of that I had the opportunity to see before I became a Chief. And then after I was a Chief, I still kept in contact with former Chief players. I mean, Kansas City I love the Chiefs. I'd never pick another team. I don't think I could, but just been a Chiefs fan. The family loves the Chiefs, and it's a 913-816 guy.
Well, from the audience, Shane writes in. He says, "Hey, AB, nice to see your face again. Glad to always have you in the chat." Eric from Vancouver writes in. He says, "Cool shirt, AB, BC Lions alum." Before we get to their questions, I'll just ask you this because I'm hearing it a lot and I don't know the answer. Are the Chiefs' good days gone, or was this just a dip?
Well, you gotta ask those people who really know football. Say we got Andy Reid, we got Benemy now, we got Mahomes, and I don't think the franchise, they're moving to a new district, pretty soon, the next 3 to 4 years or whenever it is. I don't think the Chiefs are going to say, yeah, that's it. We won our 3, we're done. I think they're going to try to push Mahomes to have a franchise quarterback like him in the future. So I don't think the Chiefs are ever going to, just say we're good now. I think they're always going to try to scale up every year and be creative.
Okay, well, my guy, we got to do this more because there's so many comments coming in here. There's not going to be enough time. Craig writes in, he's watching from the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. He says, "Thanks, Arland, for the abilities that you displayed while playing in the CFL 2004 Argos." That's from Craig in Toronto. Of all the teams, and here's the odd thing. I worked for Saskatchewan. You never played for us. Yet for whatever reason, you and I connected and we're fans of each other. Of these teams,
again, a professional football player to play is a blessing. To suit up as a pro football player to go see fans fill the crowd and do what you're supposed to do as a pro athlete, and then touch others outside of football. That's always been my dream, is just to entertain the crowd and play pro football wherever I played at, whether it was the indoor football league. I never had the opportunity, or NFL or college. It was always just fun playing the game.
You, sir, are putting a smile on my face, and for that, I thank you. And you know what we say about Saskatchewan? Easy to draw, hard to say. But of all your illustrious career, what would you like to be remembered for? Because there's a lot. There's a lot that AB could be remembered for. What would you like it to be?
Definitely a guy who brought his time sheet to work every day and clocked in, whether it was Monday through Sunday or January through January. So I always will be remembered as a guy who always wanted to win and come to work and help other people, whether they were veterans or they was rookies. I was always willing to help and not just keep all the information that I know from football to myself. So now I have 3 sons that are playing football in college, high school, and pro. So I just try to share my knowledge. I'm almost 50. So I just try to share my knowledge of what I've learned and what I experienced to not just my sons, but to people like you guys are talking about with this kid for the Riders. I feel sorry for him, but I think he can bounce back. I'm a guy who gives 10 chances to somebody. You know what I mean? So I hope it worked out for him.
Yeah, me too. It's a sad story. It's not the first, but it is a different time. AB, I'm not sure you and I could have survived in these days. But hey, it's behind us. And I'm not going to let you get out of this interview without talking about AB the fourth. But here's what I'll remember you for. Well, 2 things. The Spider-Man mask, because I told you I was watching that game. And I'm like, oh, this is incredible, what you did. And I'll ask you about that in a second. But what I really remember you for is the 1-5 BC Lions in 2011. And they brought in you and Tad. To this day, people talk about the 1-5 BC Lions. Whenever a team has a bad start, they're like, oh, but the 2011 BC, came back. That's a pretty good thing to be remembered for. And people credit you and Tad Cornegay for that. Are they wrong?
They are not wrong for that. Actually, before I went to that team, Wally Barno said they hit rock bottom. So to hear something like that from a tremendous coach like Wally Barno to say that, and then the team turns around and we win the championship, that's what this is for. This is for you, RP. It's time.
I love it.
So that is something I'll never forget. No matter how old I get, I'm still here in Vancouver, and it's beautiful, man. I appreciate you acknowledging that. Tad is a great person and a great football player.
He is something else. I said, if anybody doesn't know Tad, I said, he's Kevin Hart. If you've ever watched Kevin Hart, that's Tad Cornegay. And you know what Tad says?
Oh,
he's
okay.
like, I was around before Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's like me. That's what Tad says. Okay. Tell the Spider-Man mask story, please, for the kids that don't know.
The Spider-Man mask story. Okay. I don't know the exact year of 2009, Rod. What year was that? 09?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
Whenever the Spider-Man movie came out, my son, Arland Bruce IV, I think he was a young kid, and he had bought the Spider-Man mask. And I said, son, we got a game this weekend. If I score, I'm going to put the mask on. He's like, Daddy, you going to put the mask on? So what happened was I put the mask. I had a great week of practice that week. So I was like, okay, I'm going to at least get close to the end zone if I don't score. So I got the mask from my son and I put it in my pants, and I was going to do it on the field, but I couldn't find it. So I was off to the side of the field, and then I did. And then Coach Stubler said, where's the mask? Where's the mask? I want to put it on. I said, I put it away, Coach. I shouldn't have did it. But it was just all entertaining for my son. But you should see the stuff they do now when they celebrate. It's over the top, Rod. Even I'm saying it. It's over the top.
Yeah. So Arland scores a touchdown, and you were playing for Hamilton, were you not?
I was playing with Toronto Argonauts in Hamilton.
With Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you mentioned Stube. Okay, in Hamilton. So AB scores a touchdown, and I'm watching it. Like, we all watch all the game. Pulls this out of his pants and pulls it on and does
fine,
it.
RP. $4,500
I was getting there.
fine.
How does that conversation go with the commissioner when he calls you up and says, "We're nailing you for $4,500 for that"? How did that all go down?
I never seen the commission. You never see the commission. You get a letter in your locker, and then you have to talk to whoever does the payroll and try to dispute it. And I didn't dispute it. I was like, how can I dispute $4,500? They got their mindset, what they want to do to me. This is like the third time I scored and they fined me.
So you didn't even appeal it?
No, I didn't appeal it. You know what? I was fortunate enough to be one of the highest paid players in the league, me, G-Roy, and another guy. So I was like, is this how it goes? But you know what? I think they give you a bonus now for celebrating over the top now.
I'm not sure about that. Would you do it again?
Would I do it again? I would not disrespect the game, but I never disrespect the game when I played. So if I score, it's hard to score a touchdown, RP. It's hard.
Hard to get a yard, let alone score a touchdown. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, well, you get to the end zone, you should be able to celebrate. To me, that's not disrespecting the game. But C Lightning writes in and says, Wally still haunts the land where once the old Taylor Field stood. LOL. What was your favorite stadium to play in, AB?
You know what? Being from Kansas City, the only stadium that reminded me of Arrowhead Stadium was Commonwealth Stadium. For some reason, even though the field wasn't that great back in the day, you know, you had to wear like curling shoes out there. But yeah, Commonwealth Stadium and Rogers Center was fun. But
I love Rogers Center.
Yeah.
Skydome was unfairly maligned as a stadium, man. I'm glad to hear you say that. Why do people dump on it so much?
Yeah, Skydome was where I scored my first CFL touchdown.
Who threw it? Who threw it, AB?
I don't know. I don't remember. It might have been.
Sorry to.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't remember.
Kerwin Bell. We'll go look it up. I got your Wikipedia right in front of me.
I'm not that old.
You're right. Hey, I said I was going to ask you about Arland Bruce IV. Give me your pitch of why he should be playing in the CFL.
Well, first of all, can we do our picks for the NHL?
Sure.
I got my picks for the NHL.
Vancouver's not in it. Just so you know, Vancouver's not in it. I'm sure you heard living in Vancouver.
Oh, you know what?
You're the guest.
All the teams. I follow all the teams. Like for Saturday, I got Ottawa versus Carolina. I got Ottawa to win. Minnesota Wild versus Dallas Stars. I got Minnesota Wild to win. The Flyers versus the Penguins. I got the Flyers to win because Crosby's not back yet. You know? And then for Sunday, Colorado versus the Kings, I got Colorado will win that. And then Vegas versus Utah, I got the Mammoth. They doing their thing right now. Be careful. And then Montreal and Tampa Bay, I got Montreal to beat your guys, Tampa Bay. And then the Bruins and Sabres, I got the Bruins to pull it out. And yeah. So I follow hockey pretty heavily.
I appreciate you doing your research, but I'm going to give you a little tip. Save your pennies, save your loonies and toonies, and don't go putting any money down on those. Maybe bet a lunch, but don't be putting any money on that. See how we get along? Me and this guy? and we're never on the same team. I have absolutely no idea how much time we have left, but I don't want to let you getting out of here without talking about your kid. He had the hearing with the CFL. He's never even played it down in the CFL, yet they're not allowing him in. What do people need to know about the crusade for Arland Bruce IV?
Enough is enough. He's proved he did his time. He was 17 years old when he committed this violation or whatever it was called. He's been banned from the CFL. I don't know what reason. The first commissioner banned him, and now this commissioner is not sure. But he really wants to play in the CFL. He's talked about he's doing his thing in the IFL right now. They're 2-1. He's been player of the week already once. He's had 5 catches, 160 yards his first or second game. They play again Sunday at 1:00 in Northern Arizona. So they play every week. It's a league that's going to blow up. They went from being on a subscription every week to being on Yahoo Sports Network live every week, and he's doing his thing. And I hope he gets the opportunity to come to the city. He's as good as Philpott's children, boys.
Oh, I know. Absolutely, I know. Well, I don't feel like there's anything I could do. If there was, I would do it. You know what I mean? They're afraid of the public perception. Period. He bet. Was he betting on games or just betting? Period.
Well, he bet on himself in college when he was in Iowa. But what happened was he used his cousin's account. His cousin was 21, and I guess they just tried something, and he bet on himself. And that's all I really know about it. And then he got a violation, and that it was dismissed. And he even went to the NFL Combine after that. And so he's just waiting for he signed with Edmonton Elks when G. Roy Simon was the GM there, the GM, and so they voided his contract, or I don't know what happened. We'd have to ask the league. I would love to hear what the league would have to say. It's my son. Just like Deion Sanders would big up his son or protect his son. I'm not going to disrespect the CFL because it's been great to me. I'm not going to disrespect the commissioner because I haven't spoke to him. So that's on him with his agent and what the league can do. Maybe we can start somewhere. We can say, hey, can we give him an opportunity? Like, what has he done wrong? Because we got a guy in the NFL draft right now that had a DUI and someone died, and he's still getting drafted. So this is like minor. This is like 17-year-old. You made an error. You lived up to it. You're doing the right thing. You're playing in a professional league now. What is the issue? Is it because of me? I hope not.
Yeah. Well, like I say, we'll do what we can. We got 20 seconds left. We're going to have to let you go. 2001, AB's first touchdown at Rogers Center. It might have been Kahari Jones. Would you please find out and let me know? Maybe it was Kahari. I'm not sure, AB. I'm just trying to match up the years here. But great to see you, my man. Thanks for the time. Arland Bruce III. What a character, man. A CFL great. We got an upcoming CFL great right after this. Charlie Parks. Hang on.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers, Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. This segment goes real fast. I don't want to waste any time. Charlie Parks is our guest, Saskatchewan Huskies. What do you need to know? He's one of the top-ranked D linemen for this spring CFL draft. 8 games this year with the Huskies, 23 tackles, led the conference in sacks, led the conference in tackles for losses, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and he joins us today. Hey, Charlie, welcome to the RP Show. Glad to have you, my man. I told you what I was going to ask you. As you get ready for the draft, this season you just had, how would you describe it, and could you have done better?
I mean, you always think you can do better. Never really satisfied. That's kind of how you stagnate. I mean, I'm still really proud of it. Really glad that I accomplished what I did, but it's not quite all the way there yet. So,
well, the numbers were eye-popping, and I guess we'll find out on draft day. But you just came through the combine. How did that go for you?
I think it went well. I tested good. I didn't test quite where I wanted to be, but I think I backed up all the tape and everything I'll tell you in the on-field sessions.
What's your nerve situation here getting ready for the draft? You're doing all the interviews, all the hype is there. What's it feel like being in your shoes?
I feel like a kid in a candy shop, honestly. There's not really much nerves. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, good for wow. As we say, your hay's in the barn. You've done your work, so you can just sit back and enjoy draft day. But I told you I would ask you this. Your dad's a hockey player. And how the heck did you become this stud D end? How did this happen?
Well, for one, I couldn't stay out of the box in hockey. They wouldn't let me hit. And for two, I couldn't skate, so that didn't really help me either. And then my Uncle Brent, my mom's brother, actually played DN for the U of S in the 90s. And so I guess there's kind of some genetics there. And yeah, I just fell in love with it the second I got on the field with the old Adam Badgers back in Regina.
And through Sheldon Williams, a lot of greats, as you know, Johnny Ryan coming through there, Mark Mueller. I mean, you've had a pretty storied football career so far. And do you get the sense like the best is yet to come?
100% I do. There's a, you keep working and working and working, and the work has to scale with the level that you're playing at. So the more work that you put in, the more you feel you're going to get out of it. And this playing at the highest level forces you to put in more work than you've ever had to put in before. And I feel like I'm going to get everything that I've earned out of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you are, and you're sitting there in the football capital. Let me ask you this: how many times have you been asked where you want to be drafted? Are you getting it every day? Like which team?
Every day, probably twice.
Yeah.
Double that on Sundays.
I know. So what do you say?
I just want to go somewhere that wants me to play there. That's about it. If you show me that you want me by drafting me, you're going to get everything I got.
Mm-hmm. So when you're talking to these teams right now, and we're already at less than 2 minutes, but what are some of the questions? Are you getting weird questions from these teams when they talk to you, or are they pretty standard?
Every once in a while I'll get a weird one. When I was at the combine, I kind of took it upon my suits to show my personality a little bit. And I remember getting a question from Edmonton that one of the guys in the room asked, do you think that you could hang at the club, being a small Saskatchewan guy? And I remember head coach Keelam said, of course he can hang at the club. Look at his shirt, because I was wearing like this floral pattern shirt and a pink tie with like a diamond tie pin in it.
Well, what I'm seeing here is you're the whole package. You can do it on the field. You can obviously do it in the classroom, and you got some spark and pizzazz too. Well, what I will say, Charlie, is we're already out of time, but congratulations on this career so far. You've obviously been raised very well by your parents, so congratulations to them. And enjoy draft day and whatever happens. I know there's been some NFL interest too, so good luck with everything, man, and I appreciate the time today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
It's been fantastic. Charlie Parks joining us from the Saskatchewan Huskies. Watch for his name, CFL Draft Day, everybody, coming up 3 days after the NFL Draft. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. You're watching the RP Show on Silver State Sports.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right. Welcome back, everybody, for Overtime, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, as you see. And tell you what I don't know about you, but I've had a great time on this Football Friday with some awesome people. I was telling my advisor this the other day. I said to her, she lives in West Palm Beach, I said, I just admire talent. You got great talent. I just admire greatness. Charlie Parks has already had a great career, and the best is yet to come. That's the kind of people you want to cheer for. Then I'm sitting here thinking about the Arland Bruce interview, too. Two-time Grey Cup champion, five-time All-Star, alum of 2 NFL teams. I thought it was just one until I learned it today. And, his Stanley Cup picks were fun and just great talking to AB. So, yeah, it's been a fun Football Friday. I hope everybody's had as much fun as I had, is my point. 902-518-3033 is the text line before we go off the air here today. A sports update. Where do you want to start? It is the Canadian show, after all, so I'll mention this. The struggling Toronto Blue Jays kick off a 3-game road series with the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. Toronto hasn't won a series since starting the season with a 3-game sweep of the A's. Matt Lauer starts on the mound for the Jays, while Arizona starts Canadian Mike Soroka. The final NBA playoff spots will be decided tonight. The Charlotte Hornets face the Orlando Magic in a play-in game, with the winner getting the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. Phoenix Suns host the Golden State Warriors for the 8th spot in the West. And it's interesting, the poll question earlier, it was just yesterday, was, are you into the NBA playoffs? And 86% of our viewers said they're not. 86% they are not into the NBA playoffs. So, again, that's why market research is so important. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the NBA playoffs because I enjoy it. I'll be watching NBA playoffs. I at least know what's going on in terms of this play-in they've had the past couple of years, and people are saying the NHL should do it. I don't think that they should. I'm with Gary Bettman on that. The last month of the regular season was fun enough. And now we get ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs beginning on Saturday. How about, again, Arland Bruce showing up with Stanley Cup playoff picks? Didn't have that one on my bingo card. But yeah, the Miami Heat are out. They played in Charlotte on Tuesday. The very exciting overtime ending there with the Hornets winning. And let's be honest, too. I appreciate the audience participation today, as I always do. For instance, Utah Darren checking in and saying about his Mammoth and not giving them much of a chance. He at least knows who the Utah head coach is of the NHL team. I would hope so. He lives there and he's a fan of the team, but not many. I bet you 98, if you polled 100 viewers of this show, 98 wouldn't be able to tell you who the head coach of the Utah Mammoth is going into this playoff series. But Utah's in. And they haven't been in since 2012 as the Arizona Coyotes. Point being, I'm seeing, because it's been a rough week on Twitter for people. Not for me, thank God. But for a lot of people, it's been rough on social media because of the crap that's being slung around. But some of the nice things that are being said is, Look at that crowd in Charlotte. How awesome is it that the Hive is rocking again? It is. And then there's Utah. I mean, is it unfair that they're in their second year in Salt Lake City and they're already in the playoffs after missing the playoffs in Arizona since 2012? It is what it is. And I guess if you talk to anybody in hockey, because I have said, what's the difference? What's changed? And they said ownership. And if you don't understand how ownership plays into the success of the team on the ice or the field or the diamond, you'll never know. We try to educate people here, but a lot of people just don't listen. Ryan in upstate New York writes in, hey, Ryan, he says, have a great weekend, Rod Squad. Be safe and enjoy it. Oh, there's absolutely no doubt we're going to enjoy this weekend because we enjoy every day. See Lightning, you're not wrong. Writes in, he says, I only watch NBA games for the last 5 minutes. Yeah, and even that takes 2 hours. Oh, I get it. Jeff the Stamps fan says, the NBA has playoffs? See, again, not everybody's into it. I totally understand. I'm not even going to make a snarky comment. Who they're sorry, but little press box in Tampa Bay. It's fun, the little debate that we go back and forth between Panthers fans and Lightning fans, because with the arenas and so forth, the one in Tampa Bay, that place rocks, man. I'm pointing towards Tampa. Actually, it's that way. It rocks. But there wasn't a lot of thought put into that. There's one elevator in the whole arena in Tampa Bay. So you're going up to the press box and you're standing beside Bill, who's bringing the buns up to the suites. You know, it's a very convoluted. In Florida, there's like 5. But they're not in the playoffs. The Panthers. So, yeah, I'll be sticking around South Florida this weekend, announcing football, having a big old time, and probably going for a drive. If you tuned in late, you may want to go back to hour 1. We talked about week 4. That's where my mind was. In the United Football League playoffs, Kevin the Medium and I made our picks. The picks are brought to you by Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early and stay late. I saw our friend Joe Madden from the Madden Money Line. She put on her social media this week. She's like, what's your favorite Stanley Cup playoff tradition? And my mind immediately went to our family playoff pools we used to have in the farmhouse. Mom and Dad, my mom would make picks. And the 3 of us boys, we would sit around the kitchen table and have a Stanley Cup draft. That's my favorite tradition. Don't do it anymore, obviously, but that's mine. So enjoy the Stanley Cup playoffs. I know I will. And we'll see you here on Monday, everybody, here on the RP Show, Silver State Sports.
That.